97.3 Citi FM. Relevant radio, always.
In Tanzania, they may call it Ngao or Umeme, but it's Dumso. This Dumsorization. The reason why I think we should stop, God is so very generous to us. This is the only country that has the sun throughout. This is the only continent that has wind throughout. This is the only continent that has rivers throughout. The divine instruction was, go ye and subdue the world, but we have allowed the world to subdue us. How shall we account for both man and divinity on the day of judgment? That we were given the opportunity and we refuse to seize it, that even when opportunity sits on our laps, we never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. The problem is governance, and let us not abuse the English language. It is misgovernance. You know, they used to say that there is something called primitive accumulation. Many African leaders suffer from primitive accumulation, which is reminiscent of the hunter-gatherer age. If in the Middle Ages we hunted and gathered wild animals, the things that we now hunt and gather are houses and cars and money. And the tragedy is that we keep them in Europe and America, we keep them in Switzerland, we don't even tell our wives, and when we die, the Swiss enjoy them. Our creed is greed. This is the tragedy. But we know where the problem is. Beyond the lamentation, what must we do going forward? Because this is the question. A great European writer, Ansah, writing his book, Darkness at Noon, says that the tragedy of the world is that sometimes when you diagnose the disease and you think you have an antidote and you apply the antidote, a new wound appears. There was a time in Africa when we thought that our problem was disunity and we thought that one-party states would solve our problems. We applied that balm and a new wound appeared. The new wound was personified in Africa in different people, Mobutu Sese Seko Kukumbendu Wazamba, the man who destroyed the Congolese territory like a colossus. He thought it was God's gift to Zaire. But when he died, he did not even have a piece of earth to be buried in. His motto remains, lie in Morocco. It is a lesson to African leaders. Then we thought that the military would solve our problems, and we don't. Africans are good at dancing at every opportunity. When we were expelling the first generation leaders, we danced. When the military came in, we danced. When they went out, we danced. When the guerrilla leaders came in, we danced. When they went out, we danced. When we elect our leaders, we danced. When they mess up, we dance. We must not dance. We have done for too long. We must now think. Exactly. The great René Descartes was right. Cogito ergo sum. I think so I am. Africans must now begin thinking, because going forward, it is our ability to think that will ensure that we are creative and innovative. You know, if you allow me a little latitude about our inability to think, not so long ago, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, visited Kenya. There was a lockdown in Nairobi. You had a similar lockdown in Accra when he visited for 8 hours. Americans came to shock and awe us, and they shocked us and they awed us. A few days later, I was traveling to my rural home, and I sat at the airport, and next to me were 3 professionals, one an architect, one a lawyer, one an expert in pension, and they were marveling about the American president's car, the Beast. And I said to myself, in a world where other civilizations are thinking about nanotechnology, we are marveling about a car. We are marveling about a car. We are marveling about a car. It is a statement of our mental underdevelopment. And that mental underdevelopment is alive and well in the men and women that we have entrusted to lead us. And we must change it if Africa is to realize our potential. The time has come that we must also ask ourselves whether the thing we call democracy, as franchised to us from Washington, Paris, Lisbon, is the kind of democracy that we need. I have no doubt that there are things that are of universal application. The American Declaration of Independence captures the spirit of what I believe is universal. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are born equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All human beings have that urge to be happy. But in Africa, happiness is just but an occasional episode in a drama of pain. And the reason why it is such an episode is misgovernance. We must ask ourselves whether we should not go back to the past and ask ourselves what were the positive attributes of our traditional leadership methods. Every civilization is doing that. The Chinese have done that and they have something to show for it. The Japanese have done that and they have something to show for it. South Korea has done that and they have something to show for it. Even the Arabs in Dubai, which has now become our commercial mecca, has done that, and we go there periodically, we of the middle class, to marvel at their skyscrapers and to marvel as to how they have subdued the earth. What must we do? We must interrogate things. We must ask ourselves why it is that when I fly from Nairobi, Kenya, I am confronted with all manner of currencies which are not worth the paper they are printed on. That I come from the Kenyan shilling, flying for a few minutes, I meet the Rwandese franc and the Burundian franc, and immediately I cross the border, I meet the Congolese franc, and I meet the CFA franc, which is pegged on a currency that is long dead, the French franc. And I come here, I meet the city, I go to Nigeria, I meet the Naira, and in the United States you fly for 6 hours, no border posts, no visas, no yellow fevers, and you only have one currency, the dollar. These are painful questions, but we must ask them, because it is only when we ask them that we will be able to answer in the right way. Africa must ask difficult questions. There are those who say that those who ask these questions are armchair theorists. But the last time I checked, the entire race for changing humanity is a relay race. There are those who must theorize from the armchair. There are those who must verbalize and rhetoricize from the pulpit. And there are those who must seize the spirit and begin the movement. And there are those who must implement. It is a relay race. Those who plant the seed must allow others to water the seed. And those who water the seed must allow those who will prune it and those who will enjoy the shade. Each one of us has a duty and an opportunity to change Africa. But the other thing that bedevils Africa is the thing called corruption. Writing in the year 2012, the editor of the New African says in the editorial, how I wish that one day Africans would be able to say, like it is said of death in the Bible, corruption, where is thy sting? Where is thy sting, corruption? Because in those days we'll have eliminated corruption. Today, in Africa, we hung the goat thieves and they left the big thieves in the public office. That is the African problem. We call them by different names. Economic crime, they are thieves. Let us call spade spade. We vilify little thieves in our villages and deify the big thieves. Even in places of worship, when a thief enters the church, even the pastor pauses for a minute. And the sermon is then changed appropriately. If indeed the pastor was saying, how difficult shall it be for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven, as it would be difficult for a camel to enter the eye of the needle. Immediately the rich thief comes in, he confesses and says, and to those who do not have even the little that they have, shall be even our churches are sick. And the church does not mean the clergy, the church means the laity and the clergy. I was saying the day before yesterday that all of us who go to churches and mosques and temples, because I'm a Christian, I use the church example, we are all suffering from what I call acquired immune spiritual syndrome. And what we do every Sunday and every Saturday is that we go to church to acquire our spiritual antiretrovirals. The question is, are they effective? Because we steal for 6 days and repent for on the 7th day. That is not acceptable. The time has come, and to use an African proverb, African leaders have now stolen until the owner of the goat can now see that goats are missing. The goats are missing, and we must do something to return our